So this is a map made for Doom, and basically my first change is I made a time trial toggle. So basically the player can opt in and out of making it so that they have time trial, and you can see over here it says time trial enabled to let them know that they have indeed activated that feature. This little area right here is kind of like a safe spot where that enemy cannot hurt them, and they can basically take their time until they're ready to start. And here is the first, it's basically just like a little test timer. It doesn't actually increase the player damage or do anything, just kind of gets them used to do the setup of how the time trials will be, how the naming convention is, and there it just says kill the imp. It's only one imp on that particular section, so once they kill them, the timer goes away, and that is it. Now they enter the first boss area, which is the Hell Knight, and that is basically you just have to kill them within the time frame. And once you do, the damage of all other enemies will be increased, making the game a little bit harder. In the room that used to be the end point, I have now put a speed boost that is times 1.25% instead of the 1.5% that I used to have in the other room. Basically get the players a little more acclimated to the increase in speed. And here's the timer for the Manicubus. It's a little bit close right now. Like, I defeated this boss with only 10 seconds to spare, but I did feel that I took my time on it, so it's not too major of an issue. There are 14 seconds left. Here I have the same room. It still gives 1.5 times, which I will add back. For the next room, I have added more ammo packs scattered throughout the environment and back in these areas, so that player has more opportunities to grab ammo, and they won't be left looking for ammo too particularly long. It's kind of just like an intuitive spots. Also, to the left and right of the player over here are also more ammo packs. And the next boss here is the Cacodemons. Now, in order to finish this, there are 2 Cacodemons spawned for this boss battle, and you need to kill both in order to basically complete the time trial. Also, I have made the hell spawns scale their damage more appropriately, since I felt like they weren't really doing enough damage to warrant the fact that players should be prioritizing them before anything else in the map. So now it pretty much is, if you get hit twice, you will most likely be dead from them. and even if you aren't, you're going to be at a great disadvantage when trying to kill the other monsters, since you cannot get hit. Now the next boss is the Baron of Hell, which is not these two guys. He actually spawns at the top of that area, and basically since he's in hunting mode, he'll make his way down to the player. There he is. Since he's a fairly simple boss, I might decrease the amount of time the player is given in order to defeat him. However, if they don't have all of the damage boosts, it might be a little bit more tricky to make it in time. And after the next two rooms is all new map areas, as I no longer have it, so the map basically loops around, and instead it has all new rooms to it. This one I'm going to lower in the next iteration, since clearly the player has to jump for it. Although I don't want to make it too low, because then it'd be harder for them to be able to spot it through the window that I was looking at. And here you can see I get hit by all the hell spawns and pretty much lose all of my health. I feel like it's a fair mechanic though, because they're very, very loud, and also they give you a fair amount of warning before they charge at you, so you can look around the map and find which one is targeting you and kill them within time. Now this next section is basically a little bit of an experiment I was trying to do. I was trying to make a interesting sequence where this guy called Pinky, he would charge down the corridor, and then once you get to a certain spot is facing the corridor, either you trigger an explosion by yourself or the explosion just happens. I'm not sure where to go with yet, and it kills the demon but not you. Now first, to make the player turn around and basically realize that they have a monster spawn behind them, I made it so once they got a certain distance in, there's an explosion, which basically gives them an audio and a visual cue on their screen that something has happened, so they basically look around to see what that is, and also they hear the Pinky spawn behind them and make kind of a growling sound. Now one of the first things I definitely need to do is increase its health, as one hit immediately staggers them and kind of makes them kind of slow. And there is the explosion, which did not work according to plan, as it, well, killed the player, and since Pinky was already charging quite close to you, it just, well, it did not stay alive, but it also didn't die within time. And there's the explosion, basically working correctly. And here is the final boss room. I wanted to go with this kind of a level design because I felt like this gun lends itself well to having a vertical design. If you have everything all on a horizontal plane, it's a little too easy for you to just, well, shoot everything basically. This gives the player some cover, and also adds more like depth to the gameplay, essentially. Now it triggers a mini boss which locks down the area automatically until you have killed basically the enemies with the health bars placed over them. So these two guys, they spawn on this pillar, and that pillar basically gives them an advantage over you, as they can see the entire map and they basically can shoot from any direction. And there is the completion of that mini boss event. This guy still needs to be defeated. And I'm just grabbing some health quickly. And staggered him, and dead. Now after this, I'm just picking up some stuff. But after this essentially is the end of this map, where you walk in. I try to have it where there's kind of like an explosion, like a victory explosion. It didn't work out too well right now, but I'll make it have more of a add more glitz to it, essentially, make it more of an event. And that is it for this iteration.